අද්විතීය 200 Mbps ස්පීඩ් එකකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්තම හෝම් බ්‍රෝඩ්බෑන්ඩ් සම්බන්ධතාවය වන SLT මොබිටෙල් දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය ඔබත් අදම අත්විඳින්න.
හරිම සුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Tuesday the 28th of March 2023. Outstanding. AdaDerana wins the People's Television Channel of the Year award for the 6th consecutive year at the Slim Cantor's People Award 2023 and the award for Youth Choice TV Channel of the Year. Clean energy. President Ranil Wickremesinghe expresses Sri Lanka's ambitious renewable energy plans.
Sri Lanka wants to be one of the first in Asia to be in this field because we have to use our natural advantages and certainly renewable energy possibility.
Reassures investors of the country's stability.
We've gone through a really bad period and that's the best instance that Sri Lanka will stay stable. We will not want to go back. The government won't have the discretion of saying tomorrow we are going to have a new system.
Power developments. Cabinet greenlights the establishment of a 135 megawatt solar power project in Sampur in Trincomalee. Energy investments. 7 companies submit expressions of interest for the proposed new refinery in Hambantota, says Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara.
Alliance Finance මෙතුරු රන්නයි සේවාවෙන් රන් පවුම්කට රුපියල් 1,70,000ක ඉහළ අධිකාරමක්. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. In your top story for tonight, AdaDerana won the People's Television Channel of the Year award for the 6th consecutive year at the Slim Cantor People's Award 2023. AdaDerana also won the award for the Youth Choice TV Channel of the Year, while AdaDerana News won the People's News Provider of the Year award for the 5th consecutive time. The Slim Cantor People's Award 2023 was held with glamour last evening at the Monarch Imperial in Sri Jayawardhanapura Kotte. The People's Award, which has been one of the most prestigious events in the corporate calendar since its inception in 2007, are presented based on consumer preferences determined on the results of a survey rather than by a panel of experts. The awards are presented by the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, supported by the survey results. On behalf of Slim, Cantor conducts a survey deploying a rigorous data collection and analysis process to select the winners for the award categories. At the award ceremony, AdaDerana won big by claiming multiple awards. The channel was awarded the Youth Choice TV Channel of the Year, and for the 5th consecutive time, AdaDerana News won the award for the People's News Provider of the Year.
Ladies and gentlemen, TV Channel of the Year, Youth Choice AdaDerana.
The Slim Cantor People's Youth Choice TV Channel of the Year 2023, AdaDerana. Cantor People's News Provider of the Year. How there?
Derana TV.
When I'm with you, all I get is white dust.
Congratulations, AdaDerana.
Let's go.
So you're all of the 5 winners for Slim Cantor.
Broadcast journalist Chatur Alvis claimed the award for People's Television Presenter of the Year and the People's Award for the 5th consecutive time. AdaDerana's broadcast journalist Dilka Samanmali received the award last evening on his behalf.
Gentlemen, he's winning for the 5th consecutive year. Congratulations to Chatura Alvis.
For the 6th consecutive year, AdaDerana also bagged the award for the People's Television Channel of the Year at the Slim Cantor People's Awards 2023. Actor Ravin Kanishka of TV Darana's Devinima teledrama won the award for the People's Teledrama Actor of the Year.
Robin Kanishka. Robin Kanishka.
People's Teledrama Actor of the Year, Ravi Kanishka.
Meanwhile, Lanka newspaper won the most popular newspaper for the 17th consecutive year.
Newspaper of the Year, Lanka Deepa.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized on Sri Lanka's ambitious plans of wanting to become one of the first countries in the region to explore green energy and its potential in power generation. President Wickremesinghe, while urging investors to suggest the type of business environment they expect to see in Sri Lanka, he assured that he will incorporate the reforms in the IMF agreement as part of the legislature, making them the fiscal rules of the country, preventing another political party from changing the course of the country's economic development plan. A group of investors who came to Sri Lanka to participate in Sri Lanka's Green Energy Summit met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's office last afternoon.
The agreement with IMF has two advantages for us. One, we are restructuring the debt. Secondly, it should unleash the growth potentials of Sri Lanka. Getting on to our growth potential of the areas we've identified, one of the largest areas for growth and in the short term also is renewable energy. In addition to it, the potential for basically the green hydrogen. It's a question of how do we exploit it, what are the investments, and in that it will be a field that is open to private investors, both local and foreign. And in the next 2 months, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Energy, and the Climate Change Office will be announcing the new policies on the green economy and on renewables. The potential is big, and Sri Lanka wants to be one of the first in Asia to be in this field because we have to use our natural advantages, and certainly renewable energy falls into it. You all are those who have had the experience of investing in green energy projects. So when you look at Sri Lanka, remember that we will also be linked to South India, looking at the synergies of South India, not only in renewable and energy, but in other forms. We have already discussed Indian Oil of having their pipeline from India straight into Trincomalee. But we also see Trincomalee as a potential port for green hydrogen. That's the closest port to the north, which has the bulk of green hydrogen, renewable energy, wind power in Sri Lanka. So all this means opportunities, all means development, and development which means that the Sri Lanka economy expands, and at the same time you invest money and you get a good return on your investment. So we will look at how we accelerate the investment procedures and get through quickly.
How you can secure that Sri Lanka will stay as stable as possible, which is obviously one of the key issues for investors as well.
We've gone through a really bad period, and that's the best instance that Sri Lanka will stay stable. We will not want to go back. But to go ahead, IMF agreement alone is a 4-year one. And I am putting this agreement out to Parliament, and I will legislate what is there in the IMF agreement for our fiscal rules that will come in. So that keeps the first 4 years and you go along the path. But there will be other legislation also that will set the path. The government won't have the discretion of saying tomorrow we are going to have a new system. The faster that we show results, the more people will not want the system to change.
Sri Lanka has an ambition for being carbon neutral itself, but then are you looking at trading the surplus carbon credits, if at all you do have a vision for trading carbon credits?
We do trade in carbon credit, and we have an advantage there, so why not use it?
Are you looking by any chance to create an exchange or a compliance market, if at all that is something on your mind?
Something we are talking about, how we do it, whether Sri Lanka would be viable or whether it look elsewhere, but it's in our minds.
I think it requires...
I think best is for you all to tell us what exactly should be the procedures and what is the business environment to expect, because we can, if necessary, bring in legislation which will govern the renewable energy sector and the green economy. It may be best to lay down the rules and we can pass separate legislation governing them. We want to be one of the first countries in this field, and therefore we must have the legal framework to go in and the administrative framework.
The President Ranil Wickremesinghe was also appreciated by a delegation from the United Nations Population Fund for the efforts the country had made in terms of evaluation capacities at institutional and professional levels. The UN body meanwhile emphasized their commitment towards national evaluation capacity in the country, recognizing its importance in promoting accountability and good governance to achieve sustainable development goals. President Ranil Wickremesinghe met with a delegation of the United Nations Population Fund, including the Director of the Evaluation Office, Marco Sigon of the United Nations Population Fund at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. During the discussion, the UNFP congratulated Sri Lankan authorities on their achievement in developing robust national evaluation capacities at the policy, institutional and professional levels. The UNFP delegation commended President Wickremesinghe's leadership in promoting evaluation, particularly in the public sector, which they said will play a significant role in addressing the challenges faced by Sri Lanka. UNFP representatives acknowledged Sri Lanka's significant progress in developing strong national evaluation capabilities compared to other nations. President Wickremesinghe announced that a bill related to this matter would be presented to Parliament for their approval. The visiting UNFP delegation expressed their commitment to supporting the development of national evaluation capacity in the country, recognizing its importance in promoting accountability and good governance to achieve the sustainable development goals, particularly in the areas of gender equality and women's empowerment. The Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, says that 7 companies have submitted expressions of interest for the proposed new refinery in Hambantota by the deadline yesterday. The Power and Energy Minister noted that the Technical Evaluation Committee and other procurement committees will evaluate the expressions of interest and issue the request for proposals to suitable applicants. In January, the Cabinet approved a decision to issue notices calling expressions of interest in order to select a suitable investor for establishing an oil refinery in the proximity of Hambantota and to call for detailed proposals from investors who meet fundamental qualifications. The government said the decision was made in a backdrop where various parties and investors have expressed their interest in setting up an export-oriented oil refinery and related products processing centre in Sri Lanka, with Hambantota being the district preferred for the establishment. In its latest developments, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara said today that 7 companies have submitted expressions of interest for the proposed new refinery in Hambantota by the deadline yesterday. The countries that the list of companies are registered from are Nigeria, Singapore, Malaysia, Iran and Sri Lanka, as well as an entity that is managed jointly by the UAE and Sri Lanka. The list also includes China's Petroleum and Chemical Corporation, also known as Sinopec, which recently met President Ranil Wickremesinghe to express their interest to fund the construction of the oil refinery in Hambantota and invest in the import, storage, distribution and marketing of fuel to cater to Sri Lanka's energy requirements. According to the subject minister, the Technical Evaluation Committee and other procurement committees will evaluate the expression of interests and issue requests for proposals to suitable applicants. At present, there is only a single oil refinery in Sri Lanka located in Sapugaskanda, which is owned by the state-run Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. However, the refined fuel from Sapugaskanda refinery is not exported abroad, meaning there is no export-oriented refining process operational at the country's only refinery. The refined crude from the state-run refinery is sufficient only to cater to 25% of the country's fuel requirement, while the remaining 75% is fuel from imports. Now, the Petroleum Trade Unions Collective called off its Satyagraha campaign, which was organized against the government's move to restructure the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation today. However, they said that they will commence a strike by refraining from engaging in fuel distribution activities. In this backdrop, the Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, has instructed the chairman of the CPC and the Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals to take stern action against any employee or trade union activist disrupting the fuel distribution and acting in violation of the Essential Services Order. The Petroleum Trade Unions Collective launched a Satyagraha campaign yesterday before the corporation's terminal in Kolonava against the government's move to restructure the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. They continued their action for a second day and the trade union employees closed the entrance gates of the Kolonava terminal this afternoon. Even though they opened the gates later, they refrained from refilling the buses engaged in fuel distribution. During the evening, the Petroleum Trade Union Collective called off their Satyagraha campaign, however said that they will launch a strike to refrain from activities related to fuel distribution. Following this announcement from the Petroleum Trade Union Collective, the subject minister Kanchana Wijesekara said he has instructed the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminals to take necessary disciplinary steps to consider termination of employment and any legal steps necessary against trade union activities or employees that are disrupting the distribution of fuel, work or other employees, or is acting in violation of the Essential Services Order.
තෙල් සංස්ථාව විකුණුනවා කියන එක බොරුවක් එහෙම එකක් නැහැ. මේ තෙල් සංස්ථාව දැන් ලාභ ලබන්නේ තෙල් මේ ලීටරයක් රුපියල් 400ට 450ට දීලා. කලින් තිබුණ 157යි. ඒ කියන්නේ මිල වැඩි කරලා තමයි දැන් ලාභ ලබන්නේ. එහෙම මිල වැඩි කරලා ඕන තැනක ලාභ ලබන්න පුළුවන්. මේක කලබනාකරණය කරන එක ආණ්ඩුවක් විදිහට වගකීම. සංස්ථාවකෙත් වගකීම. මේ වෘත්ති සමිතිවලත් වගකීම. එතකොට ඒක ලාභයක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කරන එක කලබනාකරණේ ව්‍යුහය වෙනස් කරන්නට ඕන. ඒකේ ඉන්ධන පිරවුම්වල ප්‍රමාණයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක තරංකාරී විදිහට සමාගම් කීපයකට දෙන්න තමයි මේ වෙලාවේ කටයුතු කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැතුව
Now stay with us to find out the decisions made by the cabinet yesterday regarding the renewable energy projects of the country. All this and much more coming up right after this short commercial break.
ගොඩමඩ පෙරලි කරන බලපුළුවන් කාරයා මහින්ද්‍රා යුවෝ ටීමෝ වෙතින්.
Apico Super Center, Arudu Super Shopper. Amazing 50% discounts. Shop for 7,500 rupees or more with an Apico Privilege card, including 5 nominated brands.
Let's go! Apico Super Center.
No approval was given by the Cabinet of Ministers yesterday for the Ceylon Electricity Board and the National Thermal Power Corporation to establish a 135 megawatt solar power plant in Trincomalee. The Cabinet gave the green light to implement South Korea's Simol Undong program in the country as well. The Cabinet of Ministers yesterday gave the green light to a proposal put forth by the Prime Minister to sign a memorandum of understanding to implement South Korea's Simol Undong program. In 2015, the Sabaragamu Provincial Council entered into a MOU with the Simol Foundation and started the Simol program in Sri Lanka. By now, the MOU has expired and it has been proposed to sign a new MOU so that all provinces of Sri Lanka can be covered by the respective project. The Simol program helps South Korea transform the traditional agrarian economy in rural Korea into an industrialized, export-oriented economy by improving infrastructure, livelihoods, welfare and education. Meanwhile, the Cabinet also gave the approval for the Ceylon Electricity Board to implement the solar power project with the National Thermal Power Corporation of India in 2 stages. As the first stage of this project, it is expected to implement a solar power project of 50 megawatts with the total estimated investment of $42.5 million and to construct a 220 kilowatts transmission line with 40 kilometers length from Sampur to Kapulture, spending $23.6 million. The first stage is expected to be completed in 2 years from 2024 to 2025. A solar power generation plant with an additional 85 megawatts is expected to be constructed under total investment of $72 million during the second phase of this project. In addition, it has been planned to construct a transmission line of 76 kilometers with a capacity of 220 kilowatts from Kapulture to New Habarana, with an estimated expenditure of $42 million in order to distribute the electricity generated. Now, veteran singer and musician Professor Sangeet Nipun Sanat Nandasiri passed away at the age of 81. One of the iconic singers in Sri Lankan music, Nandasiri is also a music director and composer who has received several awards for his compositions in a career spanning more than 6 decades. He also served as the Chancellor of the University of the Visual and Performing Arts in Sri Lanka, an appointment which he received in 2016 following the demise of veteran musician Pandit Amaradeva. Nandasiri, who appeared first in Sinhala radio at the age of 13 in 1955, was also the playback singer of over 30 popular Sinhala movies, including Ahas Gawwa, Sihina Loak and Sanasuma. Sanath Nandasiri has received several awards for his compositions in a career spanning more than 6 decades. In 2019, Professor Nandasiri was honoured with the Jana Abhimani Honorary Award. According to family sources, the final rites of the veteran musician will be held on Saturday at the Borala Cemetery. The former Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Michael Pereira, has also passed away at the age of 81. The former Gampar District Member of Parliament was born on the 15th of September in 1941 and served as the 17th Speaker of Parliament from December 2001 to February 2004. He served as an elected member of the Jayala Urban Council from 1964 to 1967, after which he was appointed as the Vice Chairman of the Urban Council in 1970. Pereira then served as the chairman of the Jayala UC from 1971. He then served as the chief organizer of the United National Party for 5 years from 1971 to 1976 and was elected as an MP of the first National State Assembly until 1977. The Sri Lankan shares closed for a second straight session today, dragged by consumer staples and financial stocks. The all-share price index closed 0.56% to 9,233.4, while the S&P SL20 index ended at 2,656.3. John Keel's Holdings plc and LOLC Finance plc were the top drags on the index, down 1.8% and 1.6% respectively. The trading volume for the CSE all-share price index fell to 44 million shares from about 45 to 4 million in the previous session. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the banking sector was the second highest. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. Now, crude prices firmed today, extending sharp gains from the previous session amid supply disruption risks from the Iraqi Kurdistan and hopes that turmoil in banking is being contained. Oil prices are expected to draw continued support from signs of recovering demand in China.
Brent crude futures gained 0.8% to settle at $78.73 a barrel. Meanwhile, US West Texas Intermediate crude was up by 0.7% to end at $73.34 a barrel. Prices rallied over $3 yesterday after Iraq was forced to halt exports of around 450,000 barrels per day from its northern Kurdistan region through Turkey, following an arbitration decision that confirmed Baghdad's consent was needed to ship the oil. Oil prices are also expected to draw continued support from signs of recovering demand in China. According to yesterday's data issued by the Chinese National Petroleum Corporation, China's crude oil imports are expected to rise 6.2% in 2023 to 540 million tons. Meanwhile, the Russian Deputy Prime Minister stated today that Russia needed to focus on boosting energy exports to so-called friendly countries and noted that Russian oil supply to India jumped 22-fold last year. Further, a preliminary Reuters poll yesterday showed that US crude oil stockpiles were seen rising about 200,000 barrels last week.
And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Tune into our social media pages to stay updated. Have a pleasant evening and good night.
For news News and information you can trust 24 hours a day. Visit AdaDerana.lk.